Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to the second day of Parenting for Paradise. And again, we're going to look at a verse in the Quran and work from this verse and look at how our parenting can be an act of worship this Ramadan, inshallah. I'm Catherine Jones, the Peaceful Parenting Coach, and looking forward again to sharing with you how we can parent for paradise, inshallah. So here's the verse that we're working from today. Welcome those of you who've joined me. Great to see you again today. Alhamdulillah. Make sure you type your comments and questions there. I'll do my best to follow them. Again, I'm on my mobile, so it could be a little tricky, but I'll do my best, inshallah. All right, so today's verse is chapter 2, verses 155 to 157. And I've only got them written on this thing, so I am going to have to be very clever and put this here for you to see and be able to read it back to front. So it says, "And certainly we shall test you with something of fear, hunger, loss of wealth, lives and fruits. But give glad tidings to the patient ones, who when afflicted with calamity say, Inna Lillahi wa Inna Ilaihi Rajiun. Verily to Allah we belong, and verily to Him we shall return." And it continues over here. "They are those on whom are the Salawat, who are blessed and will be forgiven from their Lord. And they are those who receive His mercy, and it is they who are the guided ones." So chapter 2, verses 155 to 157. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome. So we're going to go through that verse and look at it from a parenting perspective again today. Alhamdulillah. Sis, I'm glad you're here and you've caught me live. Okay, so let's start with the first part of the verse. Here we go. "And certainly we shall test you with something of fear, hunger, loss of wealth, lives and fruits." How does this relate to parenting? Well, inshallah, let's begin with being tested with something of fear. One of the things that parents struggle a lot with is being fearful about their children, fearful about how they're going to turn out, what they're getting up to. And fear, unfortunately, is not a really good emotion to work from. If we're working from a state of fear, often fear leads us to want to control. We want to control everything so that we don't feel fearful. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome. And so when our children are testing us, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is testing us through our children, and we become fearful as a result. We worry about, what the family might think, what our spouse might think, what the ummah might think. We worry about, are our children doing something that's going to reflect badly upon us? Are they doing something that is going to, obviously reflect badly on us in terms of our relationship with Allah? Is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala going to judge us because of the way our children are? So the first thing to remember is, look at the example of Prophet Nuh alayhi salam. Now we know the prophets and messengers are the best of Allah's creation. And if they're the best of Allah's creation and they have a child who goes in the other direction to what their father, who's a prophet, is calling them to, then surely we who are just normal individuals, we can't be guaranteed that all of our children are going to be on the straight path. Of course, we make dua for that, and we do everything within our power to bring them up the best way possible so that they may be good Muslims. But if we're going around stressing out and worrying about how that looks on us if they're not, then we're actually working from a place of fear. And when we're thinking in terms of fear, we don't parent very well at all. So when we act out of fear, we actually put pressure on our children. We really put pressure on our children in a way that probably pushes them further away, rather than being kind and patient with them, which is the way in order to draw them back, inshallah. Okay, so I can see there's some particular parenting questions coming up. We'll see if we've got time to deal with them towards the end. Otherwise, stay tuned to the end, because I've got a special reward for those who hang out to the end, where I'm going to show you how you can actually get a free one-on-one session with me. So just hang in there till the end and I'll tell you about that, and that maybe we can answer your questions in that, inshallah. Okay, so we're talking about kids testing us, and us, being tested in something of fear, and fearing what our children are up to, how our children are going to turn out, how that reflects on us, and how acting in a state of fear actually ends up making us put pressure upon our children instead of being able to be kind and patient towards them, which is more likely to draw them back to the correct way. So then we may be tested in hunger, loss of wealth. And so when we get preoccupied with whether we're going to have enough food on the table, whether we're going to have enough wealth for our children's education, or all the things that we worry about, we start working long hours. We start focusing on the dunya and forgetting about the fact that every child comes with their risk, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the provider. And we put more importance upon gaining wealth than we do on our children. And our children end up being forsaken and perhaps, amused and kept quiet with digital devices, while we spend our time making money, buying food, all those sorts of things. So this can be another test, and certainly we shall test you with something of fear, hunger, loss of wealth. And then we've got lives and fruits. So when we are at loss of anything, we feel bad. So if somebody, if we have lost someone close to us, maybe through death, maybe through separation of some kind, then we will feel sad, we will feel unhappy, grief, lots of other feelings. When we are feeling stressed like that, unfortunately, our kids often wear the brunt of our stresses. We, in fact, take it out on our children, and that's not fair. We're not able to be patient with them, and we stop being the good parents that we are meant to be. SubhanAllah. So looking at this verse, which is from chapter 2, verse 155 to 157, and certainly we shall test you with something of fear, hunger, loss of wealth, lives and fruits. I'm looking at that in terms of how this affects us in terms of parenting our children, because all of this is about parenting for paradise. So then we come to the next bit of the surah where it says, but give glad tidings to the patient ones. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving us the answer. He's giving us the answer to all of this is to be patient. Be patient in these tests. If we're patient through these tests, we will also be able to be patient with our children. We're able to be better parents for our children. So what does being patient mean? Being patient means we're trusting in Allah. We're trusting that whatever it is we're going through, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to take care of it. That after difficulty comes ease. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not burden us with more than we can bear. All the things that we are taught as part of our beautiful deen. We're accepting the qadr of Allah. So by being patient, we're accepting that this is the qadr of Allah. And we're not trying to control what is actually Allah's to control. When we feel out of control, when we're not accepting the qadr of Allah, we're not being patient, we're not trusting in Allah, we try to control everything. If you feel like you're trying to control everything, then it means that you've gone off track. Because when we are on track, when we are really truly trusting on Allah and having faith, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to bring that ease after the difficulty, all those sorts of things, and we stop trying to control everything around us. Because in actual fact, we have no control over it anyway. Only Allah has the control, not us. And so then when we can be in that patient state, we are better able to be a good parent. We don't take out our frustrations and stresses that we're having through the test that we're going through on our children. Because if we do, we're actually oppressing our children. It's not their fault what we're going through. So why are we putting our feelings on them, making them responsible for how we feel? Or if it is our child that is the test, we remember that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is sending that as a test to us. And so we are there for our child, and we're patient through that test so that we're better able to support our child in a good way and bring that child back on track, inshallah. So the next bit is when in the verse is, who when afflicted with calamity say, verily to Allah we belong, and verily to him we shall return. So firstly, this is teaching us what to say. I know we say this when someone dies. We say, Inna Lillahi wa Inna Ilaihi Rajiun. But we also say this in any type of calamity. In any type of calamity, it is reminding us that everything is from Allah. Everything returns to Allah. And this also reminds us that first and foremost, our children are actually not ours. They are Allah's. Allah has given them to us as a blessing and also as a responsibility and as a test. SubhanAllah. They are Allah's just like we are. So just like we would take precious care of something that we are borrowing from our friend or from our neighbor or from a family member so that we can return it in the best state, we should have that same attitude, inshallah, for our children. That, they're on loan to us from Allah, and we should be treating them as something that is on loan so that we're returning it in the best form possible, inshallah. So if you were looking after someone else's children, for instance, would you yell and hit someone else's child? Would you treat someone else's child the way you treat your own child? Probably not. So then, why are we treating our own children like that? Why do we hit them? Why do we yell at them? Why do we freak out at them, lose it at them, bribe them, blackmail them, all the things that we do to try and control our children? They are Allah's, not ours. So we should be treating them like we would treat somebody else's child if we were caring for their child, inshallah. So then we go on to the next part of the verse. And the next part of the verse is telling us, they are those on whom... Sorry, let me read it from my... I'm trying to read it back to front from the screen here. They are those who are blessed and forgiven by their Lord. So what we are learning from this is that if we can follow these instructions, keep patient, and follow, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has guided us to, then this is a source of blessing and forgiveness for us. This is how it becomes part of a worship of Allah. So we have this opportunity every single day to get reward, blessing and forgiveness from Allah just in parenting our children in a good way by being patient with them. It's not just when we pray. It's not just when we fast and do what we call, the standard acts of worship. Parenting our children is also an act of worship if we're able to do it in a patient, peaceful manner. And so we have the opportunity 24/7 to get this blessing and forgiveness from Allah through looking after our children, through going through the tests of our children in a patient way, and just following through what we've gone through in this particular verse. And then on top of that, it says, and they are those who receive his mercy. Now, why is this so important? Why do we want Allah's mercy? The Prophet ﷺ actually said, no one will enter paradise by his deeds alone. And the companion says, not even you, O Prophet of Allah. And the Prophet ﷺ said, not even me, unless Allah covers me with his mercy. And this is a Bukhari and Muslim hadith. So in fact, if we want to enter paradise, we need Allah's mercy as well, not just our good deeds. And here we've learned in this surah, in this ayah, or these 3 ayah, an opportunity to earn Allah's mercy. Alhamdulillah. And then the final part, it says, and it is they who are the guided ones. So, you know how we say in our prayer, every day we say, guide us to the straight path. Ihdina sirat al-mustaqim. Every day we're repeating that. So this is, our ultimate goal. This is what we're asking Allah for, is to guide us to the straight path. And this is one of the ways. So if we just go back over what this verse said again. It said, and certainly we shall test you with something of fear, hunger, loss of wealth, lives and fruits. But give glad tidings to the patient ones who, when afflicted with calamity, say, verily to Allah we belong, and verily to him we shall return. They are those on whom are the blessings and will be forgiven from their Lord, and they are the ones who receive his mercy, and it is they who are the guided ones. So that's chapter 2, verses 155 to 157. So what we've gone through today is how that can be connected to parenting and parenting our children well, inshallah. So it's all about being patient. It's really important in our parenting to be patient. And a lot of the time our children cop it. Our children are the ones that cop the brunt of our stresses, of our moods, when we're struggling. When they make a mistake, we often come down a lot heavier on them than really they deserve. They don't deserve it whether they've done something wrong or not. So firstly, coming down hard on a child is not the way to correct them. Look at our example of the Prophet ﷺ, and if you haven't been through my free training that I've done, there's some great examples of how the Prophet ﷺ was with children. The link is with this video, which is www.ParentingForParadise.com. You can go there, and we can see how the Prophet ﷺ was with children. He was very gentle with them. He was very connecting with them. When something happened, he didn't yell and scream at them. He was very patient. So we should try and correct our children in the same way. Bribery, blackmail, yelling, hitting, depriving them of things, withdrawing our love for them are not the ways to correct children. Connection and correction is the way to go. So connect with them first and then correct them, inshallah. Also, if we are being hard and harsh on our children because we're having a hard time ourselves, then this is unjust, because it's not their fault. It's not their fault that they might be in a particular state of mind that we feel like it's driving us crazy. And we're making them responsible for our well-being if we react in that way towards them. Our kids naturally want us to be happy, and they'll do whatever they can to make us happy. So we have to be very careful that we don't let our children think that the reason that we're having a hard time is because of them. We don't want them to go around feeling like it's their fault, when we might be stressed because we're struggling to pay the bills, or we've had some bad news, or we've lost a good friend or a family member, or something's going on with us. It's not their fault. So it's up to us to be patient through the trials and difficulties that we're going through, and not take that out on our kids. Our feelings are our responsibility. It's up to us to look after the way we feel. And this is primarily what I teach in my parenting program, because 90% of the success of parenting comes from being in a peaceful place inside, is actually being able to look after our own emotions first, alhamdulillah. So if you want to learn more about that, check out the free training. The link is with this video, inshallah. Now, before I go on and just check what questions might be there, and if there are questions, go ahead and type them. I just want to say, for those of you who have some particular challenges you're having at the moment, especially if you're feeling challenged about being patient with your children, the first 3 people that email me, and I didn't put my email address in there. Hang on, let me see. Can I type a comment? Not sure whether I can type in here. I'll have to spell out my email address then, because what I was going to do is the first 3 people to email me the word patient, since it's all about patience today. If you email me the word patient, the first 3 people, I'll reply to you with an opportunity for a free session with me where we can talk about the struggles you're having with being patient with your children, inshallah. My email address is Catherine, spelled Kathryn. Actually, you should be able to see the way I spell my name from my Facebook profile, at CatherynLJones.com. Don't forget the L in the middle. So the first 3 of you to email me, inshallah, you can book in for a free one-on-one session, inshallah. Who's got some questions? Let me scroll up and see if anyone's written any questions here. Okay, just the one before about sibling rivalry. Like it feels like never-ending refereeing. Yes. And that can be really challenging for parents. When children are forever competing with one another and squabbling, and you feel like you're refereeing between the children, one of the things I found to be the best way to break that tension and get everybody back on track and connected again is to do something that's going to bring about laughter. Laughter is the best way of breaking tension. And what I've found to be a really helpful one is pillow fights. So grabbing a few pillows and throwing them at each of the kids, and having one yourself, and then, you know, obviously we're not going to take it out on our kids, you know, gently encourage them to come and hit us, and we'll hit them, and just have a bit of a pillow fight, something like that can break the tension. Laughter is the quickest way to break tension and build connection. And when kids feel more connected, they're less likely to rival with one another, and they're less likely to, you know, fight with one another. If one child is particularly the instigator, causing the tension, then it might well be that that particular child needs some special attention, some special time. Obviously, we need to give all, you know, children, you know, a fair go. So if you've got 2 children, you'll need to give the other child special time sometime too, inshallah. Do you know what, sister, the question here about a 2-year-old and how to introduce them, you know, basically to all aspects of our religion, is in a natural way. There are lots of books, kids books around these days that you can look for and read stories, but I've found that the best way is to just talk naturally about Allah as just part of your life. So when we use you know, just explain things to our kids as things happen, how we might be putting our trust in Allah, or how we might be grateful to Allah, and giving examples in a particular situation, saying, you know, in this particular situation, the way the Prophet ﷺ would do things is like that. You know, just using that kind of language and just incorporating it in daily life. Children get a lot of structure when they go to school. They have a lot of structured learning there. So I find that the learning at home done in a very natural, sort of integrated into daily life manner is much more successful than trying to sit them down and give them lessons. So but yes, there are lots of books these days, storybooks and things that might be worth investing in. There's lots of online bookshops these days you can buy them through, or through local Islamic centers, that sort of thing, inshallah. They're quite good these days. There's lots of online cartoons as well that are quite good for kids. I think Zaki is one of them. The Zaki series of videos. The email address is Catherine, Kathryn, just spelt the same way as on my Facebook profile, at CatherynLJones.com. Don't forget the L in the middle. So CatherynLJones.com. If I could type it, I can't seem to with my app here actually type in the comments myself. Otherwise, I'd type it in there for you. So has anyone got any questions relating to what we talked about today? Today, essentially, we were talking about patience, and the lessons we took from it was that Allah is going to test us and has said glad tidings to the ones that are patient and who say, verily to Allah we belong and verily to Him we shall return, meaning that we understand that, you know, everything is from Allah, and that we remember even our children are from Allah and sort of on loan to us, and that our job is to treat them in the way we would treat anything that was on loan to us, that we would be returning to the person we borrowed it from. And then it says, so for those that are the patient ones, they are those whom are the blessed and that will be given from their Lord. And so this is an opportunity for blessings and forgiveness. And they are the ones who receive His mercy. And of course we need Allah's mercy as well as our good deeds in order to reach paradise. And it is they who are the guided ones. And so, you know, we're always asking Allah in our prayer to guide us to the straight path. You know, this is part of the way of achieving that guidance, inshallah. So that's kind of a really brief summary of what we went through, alhamdulillah. Well, if there's no more questions, then inshallah I will see you tomorrow. I have a feeling tomorrow we'll be talking about anger, because anger, I have a lot of mums come to me saying they can't help losing it at their kids, that they feel angry all the time. And so let's have a look at anger tomorrow, inshallah. Until then, oh, hang on a minute, we've got another comment here. Hang on, see more. So in this so if you didn't hear my thoughts before about sibling rivalry, sis, go back and listen to it when we finish, inshallah. The recording of the video will be there. As far as the bit about being strong-willed, just remember that a strong-willed child is likely to grow up a very passionate and productive adult if we don't squelch that strong will. What we want to do with that strong will is guide it in a good direction rather than try and squash it. I know as parents it's really hard when a child just wants to do everything their own way. But there's a lot of goodness in that too, and sometimes it's just as simple as actually seeing the other side of it. That helps you be more patient with that strong will, and know that, you know, a child with strong will is potentially someone who's going to go far in their life, inshallah. So we don't want to crush that strong will. Can't get the email right. Okay, what I'm going to do is as soon as I finish this video, I'll be able to get onto the comments, and I will type my email address in the comments, and then you need to just email me the word patience, because that's what we're talking about today, and I will let you know how you can book in a session, inshallah. All right, time to go. Subhanaka Allahumma bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Anything that I've said that is correct is from Allah. Anything that I've made a mistake about, please let me know. And, you know, because I always wish to correct myself if I've got something wrong. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow, inshallah, when we talk about anger. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Don't forget to look in the comments for the email address in a moment.